Hoi An, Vietnam, a vibrant postcard brought to life. It has more to it than the scenic Tu Bon River, its reputation as the city of lanterns, its night markets, and its souvenirs. We spent 3 weeks in this historic city so that we could share everything you need to know to make your visit the best it can be. I'm Judy.
And I'm Kevin. Welcome back to Finding Gina Marie, where we share our lives as full-time travelers and the connections we make along the way. In this jam-packed episode, we're going to share things from our history tour, some of the nightlife of Hoi An, what we ate, where we went, all the things we experienced, and at the end, we're also going to share our prices.
Our first invest tip for you is one we got from our guide Win, and that's to give yourself some time here to look beyond the Riverwalk and the ancient city and the touristy restaurants. There's so much to see and do in Hoi An. And next week, we'll be bringing you some of those memorable local experiences that we loved. So subscribe if you're not already.
Hoi An doesn't have its own airport. We flew into Da Nang, and it's a quick grab ride to Hoi An that takes about an hour.
Make sure you've arranged for a visa beforehand and check it to ensure that there are no errors. Give yourself the full 30 days here because extending a visa while you're here is time-consuming. It takes at least 7 to 10 business days. We hope you'll give yourself several days in Hoi An so you can explore beyond the touristy stuff.
Mo, hai, ba, yo.
Wow.
The first thing that struck us about Hoi An is how beautiful it is. It's called the City of Lanterns with good reason. Lanterns are everywhere and give it a magical quality.
There are also flowers everywhere, overflowing from the roofs of buildings. Bougainvillea in pink and purple were everywhere when we were here in March.
Its location along the Tu Bon River means that there are riverside cafes, lively music, and an overall festive atmosphere every day of the week, including beautiful boat rides. And people are posing for pictures everywhere here.
It can get hectic though. Be prepared for motorbikes and bicycles, pedicabs, all of which are beeping in one manner or another.
Overall, Hoi An is extremely walkable, but it's super easy to ride a bicycle or a motorbike if you're more adventurous than us.
Also, there are a lot of vendors everywhere that will try to sell you a boat ride, a floating lantern, fruit, peanuts, sunglasses, and laser-cut 3D greeting cards. They'll move on if you tell them no, and they're harmless.
But watch out for the women carrying fruit. They're usually found near the entrance of the ancient city, and they'll be carrying fruit baskets on a stick over their shoulders. They'll ask you to put it on your shoulder, they'll tell you that they'll take your picture, they'll tell you there's no charge, but then they'll be pushing fruit on you for a cost.
We don't like being pushed into something, but we did enjoy some tasty bananas and longan fruit out of the deal. And some pictures too. So why should anybody come to visit Hoi An?
Well, first of all, you'll be in good company. Although it only has 100,000 residents, it had 6 to 7 million tourists annually before the pandemic.
It has the reputation for being the cultural capital of Vietnam. And what does that even mean? Well, the Tu Bon River that runs through Hoi An once was a major international trading port from the 15th to 19th centuries, which means that it's a fusion of the traders who traveled here, a mix of Chinese, Japanese, and later Europeans, who brought not only goods but also cultural, architectural, and artistic influences.
On one of the major streets in town, you can see a statue of the Polish architect Witold Korski, who is known for his significant contributions to the preservation and restoration of Hoi An's historic architecture, including some of the town's iconic buildings.
Because it's such an important trading port, you'll see so many traditional crafts sold here, such as lantern making, leather work, tailor-made clothing, silk weaving, pottery, and wood carving, all passing down through the generations.
Hello, it's amazing.
Yeah. I do the bamboo.
Bamboo?
Bamboo root, yeah.
And let's talk about the tailor-made clothing. Hoi An is famous for its skilled tailors who can create custom-made clothing at affordable prices. If you're interested in getting tailor-made clothes, do some research beforehand and bring photos or designs for reference. We recommend you find a place shortly after you arrive so you have plenty of time for fittings and adjustments.
We didn't do this, but there are silk farms where you can see the evolution of the silk clothing that's everywhere here. We did stop into this silk weaver business and got to see silk being woven though.
So let's talk about where to stay in Hoi An. The ancient city is more of a destination to explore versus a place to stay. It's the cultural and historical heart of Hoi An, with its well-preserved architecture, ancient temples, colorful lanterns, and rich cultural heritage.
We stayed in An Hoi, an island just across the river from the ancient city, somewhat of a modern extension of the ancient town. It worked out great for us, but it does require crossing the An Hoi Bridge anytime you want to visit the ancient city or beyond.
There's a bustling night market that you have to navigate through on the island, but it can be fun because it doesn't go on for miles. It does get crowded though, and you might get a little tired of it after 3 weeks, but if you stay for a shorter period of time, you might love the energy of it. We certainly did.
You could also stay by An Bang Beach, which is lively, but it's also touristy, and it's a decent bike ride to the ancient city. I would worry if you stayed there that you weren't going to make it to the ancient city very often, but if you wanted to get away from some of the chaos of the center of the city, that could be a great place for you, especially if you like beaches.
Our guide, Win, recommends the Kam Chau area because it's near to the ancient city, but it's enough away from all the hustle and bustle that you can have a more low-key experience.
Overall, though, we were happy to be where we were. Little Boss Homestay fit us well. They offered daily cleanings if you wanted them, a few free bottles of water, and they kept us stocked in toilet paper, which isn't something every Airbnb offers.
If you check the annual weather, you'll see that flooding can happen, but it doesn't happen every year. When it does, this area may get hit in October and November. There are plenty of things to do in Hoi An, and there are kiosks around town that allow you to purchase tickets to 5 venues throughout the city. There's way more than 5 things to see, but each of these packets comes with 5 tickets. They have to be used within 24 hours, but it's worth the price. And remember that cost of the ticket is helping the ancient town restoration and more.
We visited a few Chinese assembly halls, which are gathering places that serve as cultural and religious centers for the Chinese community in the city. There are 5 of them scattered around. There's also an all-community assembly hall, which is a gathering place for all the various Chinese groups and is intended to be the central place to resolve issues between the various Chinese communities.
This particular one honors the goddess Then Hao, who is believed to protect the sailors and fishermen. You can see models of the ships that were used for trading in the Tuban River and on the shores of Hoi An. The design of these boats comes from the Champa Empire, which was a maritime and trading culture.
In this one, you can see these special incense burners that families purchase. The card attached lists all the family members with their birth years and sometimes even their address. And the people on the cards are lifted up in prayer for peace, health, and wealth. The incense spiral burns for about a month.
One of the most iconic parts of Hoi An is under construction. You can see it with one of these tickets. Right now it looks like it's not much, but it was a Japanese covered bridge built in the 16th or 17th century by the Japanese community during the Japanese occupation of the town, as a symbol of unity between the Japanese and local Vietnamese communities. The bridge really isn't there. They're still fixing it. I don't know when it collapsed. But that's what it's supposed to look like.
We also visited one of the old national heritage houses here, called Tang Kai Old House. There's a reception hall here where they'd impress people with a show of their wealth. and the back side of the house led to the river where trading occurred.
You can see these markers on the wall, and that marks the flooding that has occurred in many years around here. The trusses and columns are made from ironwood, which is so dense it doesn't allow the floodwaters to penetrate it.
Another reason this building still stands after 200 years is that the structure is held together with tenons instead of nails, so there's no fasteners to rust or wiggle loose.
This house has an upstairs where the current owners still live. During floods, there's a platform here that can be lowered down that allows valuables to be hoisted up to the upper level and kept safe.
Don't be afraid to explore the hidden alleyways and the side streets that are off the beaten path. There's a lot that you can find when you do that, and it's pretty cool, and it's not quite as crowded either.
Speaking of little alleyways, we found one down this path that has a wonderful coffee shop that we love, Bin Coffee. But this is a tight squeeze sometimes, so you have to make room for the motorbikes by stepping aside. As you come out of the alley, sneak your way around. Hidden in the back is our coffee shop. Much different than you see on the main streets and the very tourist-packed areas. This is quiet, reserved, and very peaceful.
And they also do coffee classes here, so
it's true.
It might be a fun activity.
And one of the reasons we love this place is their baked treats.
If we're telling you to expand beyond the center of the city, where do you go? Well, one of the areas that you can go to is renting a bike and wandering through the rice paddies. There are restaurants and cafes where you can stop for a cold beverage, but it's not a bad idea to bring a backpack with some bottled water too, and make sure you're slathered with sunscreen.
Don't forget to make a stop at Anbang Beach. You can rent beach chairs and make a day of it, and there's a ton of nearby restaurants and little places that you can have a drink along that route as well.
The sand is quite hot though. We haven't been on sand in ages and ages.
Since Hagna Sumer?
And that was rock.
Yeah, there wasn't much sand there, that's true.
I don't know if this counts for anything, but the water is quite nice. It's not too cold at all.
No, this is swimming water.
Yeah.
Easy.
We didn't bring our bathing suits with us. That might have been fun.
Look at us. We're beach bums. Just all the time, every trip we go, we just hang out on the beach. That's us. We hung out for a few hours at the Deckhouse restaurant there.
The service wasn't speedy, but the views were relaxing. And if you did indulge in the water, the restaurant has showers.
All right, at the beach we found a place to sit and have some liquid refreshment. Judy's got a smoothie.
Yeah, it's a berry smoothie. I asked for no added sugar. It probably could have needed some sugar, and it probably could have used a better blender because there's a lot of seeds that I have to suck through, but regardless, it's actually like great atmosphere. The sun is shining, there's a cool breeze, the water is lovely and warm.
Yeah.
And I think this is really shame on us, but the first time we've been on a beach since we've been in Southeast Asia, and I feel like that's probably a travesty for many of you. Probably for us a little bit.
To be fair, we weren't near a beach in the other two spots we stayed, so...
But we didn't seek one out.
Yeah, we didn't seek one out. We did it today. We took rented bikes, and now we're sitting relaxing in the shade with a nice breeze, like Judy said. Just happy. Salve.
Yeah. Salute.
Salute, it's better, yeah.
We didn't manage to get there, but Kua Dai Beach is also an option. It's a bit busier and more resort-like, and slightly farther away from Hoi An.
You can also ride your bike through Hoi An streets, but do it early in the morning to avoid the crowds. The weather will be cooler, and you can enjoy the town waking up.
Even if you're not a night person, the town comes alive in the evenings, and it's worth heading out after dark. The riverside restaurants have live music, karaoke, and the city is blazing with lights.
And of course, you'll see a ton of vendors that sell light-up toys, flying butterflies, bunny ears, and all kinds of things that might interest children of them as they walk down the street and decide, I want that. You can also take a 20-minute boat ride to see Hoi An from a different perspective from the river.
Yeah, for two.
For how long?
20 minutes.
How long?
20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah.
For two people for $150, you said?
Yeah, friend.
Okay. Thank you.
No, but thank you.
You know how now?
No.
Not right now.
But thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Today very lucky. Many people go.
How much?
30 to 1.
30?
Yeah, but 250. 2 can do 50.
No, that's okay.
What you like? What you like?
That's okay. Thank you.
What you like? Okay.
It's okay.
So we just got a quote for a lantern if you wanted to put a candle into the river. It was 20,000 dong, which equals 81 cents in US money.
Yeah, 100,000 dong is about $4, so pretty cheap for all this stuff. You have to look at all the zeros and say, it looks like a lot, but it really isn't.
Yeah, 81 cents, pretty cheap.
Yeah, and the candles are little cardboard containers, and they lower them down into the river. There's also pedal taxis that will wheel you around if you need to rest your tootsies. They're everywhere, and you'll see them day or night.
Of course, the night market is rolling strong by the time it gets dark. The main one is on An Hoi Island, just across the river from the ancient city. Food carts are everywhere. And that drumming you hear are vendors trying to grab your attention for the ice cream confection ice rolls.
There's also a bunch of exotic street food items if you're more daring than we are.
We just wanted to share from this vantage point. You can see how busy the bridge is right now.
At least you see how bright it is. This might be hard to see the people.
Yeah, it's pretty crowded. You can make your way through. You just have to have patience because you'll be stopped multiple times along the way.
Especially if you're polite and you're not trying to block someone's picture. But we try to be, but sometimes you just have to keep going. Sunday night on a market that's not on the islands, on the main part of Hoi An, and it's much quieter here at 9 p.m.
Before we talk about food, we're excited to share that we've started our own absolutely free community forum that we are calling La Familia. You can ask questions about trip planning and all things related to travel there. A video with the details is linked in the description below.
As far as food goes, you will not be limited and you will not run out of places to eat. Let's start by talking about the banh mi stall that our guide Win introduced us to. Hello.
Hoi?
Hoi.
Okay. She has been selling the vegan banh mi, best vegan banh mi in Vietnam, in my opinion.
Really?
For about 15 years.
Normally we'd be put off by a vegan food cart, but Hoi, the owner of this cart, has been perfecting her vegan banh mi for 15 years.
Her son was born with some mental health issues, and she gave up eating meat for good karma. And she also stopped selling meat banh mi as an additional offering. Vietnamese eat meat except on full moon days, the 1st and 15th of the month, and during some festivals as a way to cultivate compassion, practice self-discipline, and promote spiritual well-being.
So good.
Yeah?
Oh my God. The bread is crunchy and soft. There's some spice. There's some crunch. So many different flavors. It's really good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The bread is so fresh.
If you prefer to have meat in your banh mi, then check out the banh mi queen, Madame Khan. Madame Khan is no longer alive, but her legacy lives on. Lines at her stall are long, but they move really fast. You can also go into the restaurant behind the stall and get waited on there, so you don't have to wait in line. Which one's that?
I have no idea. Let's see. I don't think they label them either. This one has an egg, so I'll say this is the vegetarian one.
Okay. Thank you. So I get the chicken one. See, it's nice and small. I don't like the huge ones that have so much meat you can't even bite into them. So much flavor, and it's a little bit of spiciness in there, and it's just perfect. I could do this for breakfast every day. Yeah, there's no problem with that. This is a delicious banh mi. And the bread is so good. As it crunches down, you're not feeling like you're eating so much bread, but it's so flavorful. I love it.
There are some specialty foods in Hoi An that you can't get anywhere else, and that's because they require water from the ancient well of Ba Le. It's rich in alum and then mixed with ash. And the well was built in the 10th century by the Cham people, who we'll talk about in next week's episode. You can find it down the alley running north between 45 Phan Chai Trin Street. So what are a few of the specialty dishes using water from this well?
The noodles in Cao Lo and the famous dumplings require this well water to give them their signature chewy texture, and that's because the water has more minerals in it.
White rose dumplings also use the same ancient well water, and they're made by one family and sold to all the restaurants in Hoi An.
We're at the original White Rose restaurant, and if you're not aware, this is a White Rose. It's a stuffed rice noodle.
These are made exclusively in this shop. So if you get White Rose anywhere, which you likely will, they're all coming out of this restaurant.
Really? All about this?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I just assumed we were just getting the original ones. Okay. These are a little more, they're a thicker noodle with them, a little chewier. Really, really good though. Different, right?
This is our breakfast today.
Yeah.
It's quite tasty, and this is spicier than what we've had previously.
Most of them are kind of sweet. This is definitely a spicier sauce.
And also one thing that was a little more noteworthy, we've seen them served with broth on the plate. So it's interesting that this is just a banana leaf. It's really tasty. It'll wake you up.
There's a complex of restaurants here called Taste Vietnam, and a lot of them are grouped together. Like this is a whole complex of restaurants. On the ground floor is Vai's Deli, which at one point we thought was Morning Glory, and it's not. Yeah, the signature. There's a Morning Glory Original, which is a few streets over, but Morning Glory is upstairs and Vai Deli is downstairs. Very similar menus, but you can get more Western foods at Vai's Deli, where more Vietnamese food, more mainstream stuff upstairs in Morning Glory.
Vai's Kitchen and Deli is where we had our first taste of both Cao Lo and White Rose dumplings. And I'd say that of all the Cao Lo that we had, which was a lot, Vai's and Morning Glory basically had our favorite Cao Lo.
Cao Lo is made with chewy noodles, tender slice of pork, fresh herbs, bean sprouts, and a small amount of broth and crispy croutons. You can find it everywhere, and each place makes it a little different, but the noodles will always be the same.
We didn't have one single coffee shop that we ate at the entire time we were there, but we did spend a lot of time at Poison. They had a great view overlooking the river, and they have delicious beef pho and salt coffee, and also coconut coffee, which were really good too.
They also have desserts here, but we tried to behave ourselves and stick to the more healthy foods.
One of the other local specialties in Hoi An is chicken rice. This dish features fragrant, flavorful rice cooked in chicken broth and served with tender, juicy, shredded chicken, herbs, a dab of spice you can mix all together. It may be simple, but it packs a lot of flavor.
A great break from the chain restaurants from Taste Vietnam was Flower, named after the owner. The food comes out a bit more slowly because it's all made to order, and the owner is the chef, waiter, and cashier. We tried Hoi An fried wonton, which you can eat like nachos. They're covered in a salsa-like topping of vegetables.
A few of our favorite meals came from a restaurant which means good family. Their stir-fried morning glory with garlic was amazing, and although it doesn't sound like much, their boiled seasonal vegetables served with caramelized fish sauce dip was addictive.
Okay, we're at a local restaurant. It's not one of the chains that we've been spending a little bit too much time here in Hoi An. And this one, we didn't know what to expect. Good reviews. Everything here is delicious. The morning glory is just so savory. The chicken, I bit into it. I'm like, where have you been all my life? This is just wonderful. And everything that accompanies it is so flavorful. Oh, such a good decision. Great restaurant, and we're basically staying right across the street, so not a long walk. It's lovely, and here we are on a beautiful balcony. So wonderful. Excellent place. Of course, you know a place is good when it's packed with locals, and this place certainly was. They have a rooftop area where you can go up and eat if the first floor is too packed. You've probably heard us mention pizza before in one of our videos. If you want pizza here, you must try Good Morning Vietnam, which has been around for 31 years. We met Luca, the owner, and all the ingredients are imported and fabulous. You'll also get a refreshing shot of limoncello before you leave.
Finally, the sweet treat we must talk about is black sesame pudding, also known as si ma. Every day from age 20 until around 80 to 90 years old, the si ma man woke up around 3 a.m., began preparing his handmade warm confection, and then wheeled a cart of supplies to a spot just outside the ancient city. His wife, who is now 103, used to join him. The pudding is served warm and made from roasted sesame seeds, sweet potatoes, sugar, and water from the ancient well, and is one of Hoi An's most popular morning snacks. Although he passed away in 2022 at 108 years old, his legend and his pudding still live on. His food stand now is 3 generations old and is still family run.
All right, let's go over our costs for being in Hoi An. Single entry visa was $25 US. Multiple entry visas are $50. We stayed at the Little Boss homestay for 21 days at a cost of $512.61 or $22.29 per night.
Hoi An Historical Tour is $24 per person, plus the cost of the entry tickets to the walking tour, which were an additional $4.84. Our bike rental for 5.5 hours was 300,000 dong, or $12.09 for both of us.
The price of a boat ride is 150,000 dong for 20 minutes for 2 people.
Happy Cow vegan banh mi was the remarkable low price of 15,000 dong apiece, or 60 cents, which is blowing my mind to even share. And we paid 55,000 dong, or $2.22 total, for a veggie banh mi and a pork banh mi at Madame Khan, the banh mi queen, and 10,000 dong for a bottle of water. Still pretty cheap.
Flower Restaurant's fried wontons were 60,000 dong, and their cow lo was 55,000 dong.
Contrast that to Vai's Deli, whose cow lo was 75,000 dong, and their white rose, which were 85,000 dong. Their fruit juices were 65,000 dong. Their prices were cheaper than Poison, which is a sister restaurant, so keep that in mind. You're paying for the views of the river at Poison.
Hoi An's pho with beef and their cao lo were 95,000 dong apiece, and their cappuccinos were 85,000.
The original White Rose restaurant charges 70,000 dong for their dumplings, but that's for a dozen compared to every place else that only gives you 6 for the price they charge.
My Brady's fish set meal at Morning Glory Original was 185,000 dong, including white rice, string beans, shallots, and a broth on the side.
My chicken rice was 95,000 dong and 59,000 dong apiece for fruit juices, for a total of 398,000 dong.
Hoi An salt coffee, which is iced, is 89,000 dong. It's pretty crazy that it's only 24 cents less than their pho and cao lo, which are full, filling, and satisfying meals. At Fin Coffee, which we found down a hidden alley, a dessert for both of us, a flat white for me, an amazing iced coffee with peanut butter for Judy,
Don't knock it till you try it.
was $9.27.
The deck house on Onbang Beach cost us $12.45 for a strongbow cider for Kevin, a berry smoothie for me, and deep-fried spring rolls to share. That also included a service charge of 5%.
And for authentic Italian medium pizza from Good Morning Vietnam, with a lemonade for Judy and a glass of wine for me, was 390,000 dong.
At the exceptional restaurant across from where we stayed, we paid 367,200 dong, and that included Kevin's caramelized prawn with chili garlic, steamed rice in a clay pot, fruit juices for both of us, sweet and spicy Vietnamese chicken, and scrambled vegetables with caramelized fish sauce dip.
Red Gecko's spring rolls were 70,000 dong, and their pho was 60,000 dong. An order of white rose dumplings floated in broth were 80,000 dong. And their juices were only 25,000 dong apiece, for a total of 260,000 dong. So let's talk about our thoughts about Hoi An and our time there.
I thought it was amazing. We wanted to do as much as we could and really get an additional sense of what Vietnam could look like. And this was much different than either Saigon or Hanoi.
I really wanted to find out what the middle section of Vietnam was like because we had such different experiences in Saigon versus Hanoi. And Hoi An certainly surprised me. I was thrilled with how much culture and history was here. It wasn't just a tourist trap. It wasn't the spot where you go to for just a few bars and other things. You can go there and you can see all the booths, eat all the street food, do all that stuff. But you can also dig into the rich culture that they have and the many, many foods that are ancient, that have come from a long history of the water here, the way the people collect the fresh foods and fresh seafood. It is fascinating to hear about this culture and get a first-eye view of some of the people that we met.
Hoi An is beautiful, and it really is a place worth visiting. It can feel touristy if you only are staying in the very touristy section of the ancient city and don't really go past that. But we're really excited to be bringing you 3 tours that we took that really went beyond the ancient city to explore more history and culture and some really cool experiences. We don't want you to miss that episode, so subscribe if you haven't already. Recommend us to your friends and family.
And check out findinggmarie.com, where we have articles, more information, and our community forum.
Until next time.
Until next time.